Hello everyone, TMan978. Welcome to another TMan978's how-to. In this video, we're going to be transforming Fan's Toys Wright to his vehicle mode and his limb mode back to robot mode. It should be easy enough. I'm going to skip going back to vehicle mode. Who wants to do that? First thing I'm going to do is turn the head around backward and lift this panel that's behind his head over that as sort of like a cover. The arms are weird. In my review, I say this thing is pretty standard with like a Takara release, but here's that Fan's Toys step. The way this connects, his shoulders connect to the side of the body, you have to kind of like wiggle on this joint right here, like get it loose and then like pull down to get that connection completely out. I don't think Takara would do something like that, because that is genuinely scary on something you paid a lot of money on. But while we're here, this joint right here is on two different swivels. It swivels up like that, and it can swivel again on this. So to get that into its final form, like this needs to be up, but this hinge needs to be swiveled there and swiveled again so that you can see this opening right here. Zooming out so you can see the whole arm. Let's get the rest of this done. The hand, all the fingers need to be straightened and the thumb needs to be out so that the hand can be completely flat. We need to lift this up, rotate the arm this way because that hole needs to be showing along with this hole that I was mentioning. But then we need to rotate this panel and put it there for now. It doesn't stay there. Same thing on this side. Like kind of lift up at the bottom, lift up, just pull out while you're doing that. Lift this up, rotate this oval shaped disc thingy there like that, and rotate the arm so it's like that. Lift this panel up, rotate it. It's down here this time because I didn't swivel this first. But the main things to keep in mind is have that like this and have this showing and these pegs showing that way. But we can leave the arms like that for now. Come back here. We need to pull these flaps from underneath of here so that this will loosen up. And now with this like out of the way, we can go ahead and this hinge right here needs to be basically, I was saying that needs to be showing, but it doesn't really. But basically, yeah, it's kind of hard because that joint is tight. It needs to be like rotated forward basically as much as possible, like that. Get it closed. But now we need to get this little peg right here into there, into this area, and these go into that. So with that shoulder joint flat straightened out, we can groove this part under there and push that till it's pegged in. Same deal over here. I'm going to try to set that flat and swing it forward on this joint while making sure this post or that part is up. Get that into there. Groove in the peg that's down there and then force everything like that. So we're good to go there. We can bring this down and groove these pieces right here into that purple section. Yay, we got that going. And now we can bring this forward and slide that into place. Bring this forward, slide that into place. Now we can start working on the legs. The legs, the heel needs to go into the toe. The knee needs to be bent. And after we bend the knee, right here, there's a joint there. we need to bend that backward right there. It feels like you're breaking it, but it's not. Once you do that, we need to lift up on this panel, which is not easy to grab all the time, but I have fingernails right now. We just rotate this into here and shut that. Now we can flatten that up, flatten this back up. Let's do that over here. Bend the knee, bend that. If you can't grab this is what I was gonna show. Move this foot until you get about to that point. Now you can grab up under there easier. Put the foot in here, shut that. Make this straight, bring that back down. Now, the crotch can actually elongate the legs right here on this hip. The crotch can come down a little bit. Let me move this out the way. What is stopping this? Yeah, there we go. The crotch can come down a bit. With these hips elongated, we can take this piece right here and fold it up on top of that to make this all one solid piece. We got that. We can move this on top of that. But now we should be able to rotate this up like that. Bringing this down actually just gives you more room to work with, because it does actually need to be brought forward so that this peg hole right there can clip onto this piece. Once you do that on both sides, you can now straighten this out, put these things down, and now bring these back. Almost forgot about that. Now it is his construction vehicle mode. If this won't come forward, you can mess around, because this is on 2 different hinges right there itself. So you can adjust that as needed. But basically, it can do all the things. It doesn't have any wheels, so you don't have to worry about the wheels lining up or whatever. But this is the final product right there. If anything, it has a big opening right there that doesn't look quite good. But yeah, well, let me stop reviewing it and start filming the review for this. Arm mode transformation. Here's what I'm gonna do before I forget, because I always forget. Bring these back to get them out of the way. And we can go ahead and start detaching. You know what? Let's do the legs first. The legs detach from up here. I'm going to take this portion, this cover that I covered right here, take this off, bring that back out the way, lift this off, bring that out the way. Now we can start moving on that joint to get that kind of down and out of the way. The legs, we need to bend right here. And up inside of here, there is a clip. This clip needs to separate so that we can bring this back down like that, but hinge right here and then hinge up on this. And now this clip comes back into there to hold that into place. But we can go ahead and wrap that faux piece right there, and you're good to go. Let's do that same stuff over here. I'm gonna bend the knee, unclip on this clip, get the knee back straight, and start transforming this back like that and put that like this. With all that done, the hips should have the hinge so you can bring things forward like that, all the way completely on that top hinge. Get that forward. Do the same thing on both sides, and we can go ahead and tab the legs together. And I forgot to fold up this clip into there, but now you're pretty good to go. We can fold up these things right here, and now we have better access to this, and we can go ahead and lift up on this, and we can kind of bend the arm forward to loosen the tab that's under here out and get the arms out of the way. The main thing you transform is the legs in this mode right there. Everything else, we're just moving stuff out of the way so we can get to other things. Like we need to get these fake treads and bring them down here. Bring the fake treads down there, and now we have access to grab this whole hand right there. But now we can bring the hands back like they were transformed in the vehicle mode. Just plug them back together like they were. Bring this back down. If things are correct, his elbow is bent right there, so that's not correct. We should be able to just bring this back down, tab these things back into the purple grooves, and fold these panels back in to these panels and fold these back up. We can lift this up. This is up to you, to be honest with you, because this could be good because that was like the original toy, but we can actually start bending down on this and bending forward on this, so we can kind of get this into there more right there, and we can fold this, and this is why this rotates. You rotate that around and have it completely like that if you want, but this is just up, it doesn't cover that, so I don't really like that too much. Now that everything's like that, we can have, if you, depending on how you have this, honestly I have that shoved in a bit too much. I discovered that the last time I did this. You can kind of need to have that forward so it can be out of the way of this swivel. Anything that came unpegged while you're messing with that, peg it back. But the arm is looking, oh wait, we need to, I'm getting ahead of myself. See, this is why I typically don't film these in the middle of me filming the review, but that's what I'm doing right now. Peg that together. All of this part is done. We just need to start messing with the actual hand attachment. But we're good to go here. The hand, it kind of needs to be pressed down here. Now here is what will stop you. This thumb right here, and I'm gonna stretch out the fingers. This thumb can get hooked up under there. So as you're pushing, you may have to negotiate the thumb a bit. In fact, I'm going to lift it up to kind of clear that more. And now I'm going to force this up and get the thumb past that part. And other things honestly get stuck, I'm noticing. It is a bit frustrating. The problem I'm encountering here is this piece right here, that flap, shouldn't be able to clear this area of the palm. The fact that it did that is what's causing me to have issues pulling it forward. Now, I was gonna scrap all this footage, but I couldn't replicate this problem, so I'm leaving it in. But basically, you'll see me clear it at some point during this footage. I stretched this out and I was able to push that piece through. So now I'm able to have the hand like this. Once we get the hand like that, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to light this well, but you see these right here? There are panels. Oh, let me try to zoom in on that. There are panels right here that need to fold up once you get the hand fully extended. Like if this is fully extended up here where that's like flush and flat, we can stop making a lie out of me. Here we go. I got it going on that side. We can open that panel up. And that's what's supposed to lock. There we go. That's what locks the hand in place. There are 4 of them, 2 on both sides. That's what locks that into place. Now we can flip this around to kind of cover that, and we can wait. Before we flip that all the way up, we need to get these panels out of here. Now this is up, and we can also lift this panel up like that. There we go. There we go. This slider, that just slides up and down so you can adjust. So now we're ready to put this into there. Basically, this part with the 2 pegs, let's zoom out. These pegs need to be facing this right here. And these 2 things right here slot into this section. Of course, they go into the wider mouth part, and then you slide it forward. So this is crazy tricky. You need to get them into there and then slide it forward. Now we'll need to compress and lower as necessary. Some of these issues I'm happy I'm having on screen, but see these little tiny nubs right there? Those need to be compacted down. And now we should be able to have better access to reach these 2 pegs on the front. Should being the operative word here, as long as you have everything slid forward. There we have it. We got those in there. So now we need 2 pegs. These on the side. That first one in the front is going in better than this, but we got that on the side. And now we're clipping Let's do this on this side. Get that pegged in. And now we should be able to slot these into each other. Yeah, I got that slotted. This side is giving me grief. And I believe these panels are made out of die cast. Could be wrong there. But I don't know. That's about as good as I'm getting it right now. I could keep fighting with that forever, but it may be a design issue. Now the hand. The hand is adjustable as crap, but this is now looking like a palm, like a very detailed drawing of a Transformer's palm. I'll go more into that in a review. Alright, transforming this thing back into a robot. I'm gonna loosen these panels up on the sides. Undo this panel. and kind of slide this piece back up so we can attempt to slide it back. Yeah, and then get that off of there. We can now put this panel down and rotate this out so we can get these panels into here. This hand is probably the trickiest thing, but I'm gonna work on that after dislodging or moving these panels that I flipped out right here. Let's see if I can zoom in. You see where my finger is. I'm gonna push that panel back flat. There are several of them, 2 on both sides that you just saw. So I'm just gonna make them flat again so that we can, I think I should probably, lift this back up and then kind of bring this back around. Sometimes I wish I had someone over my shoulder to make sure I have everything on screen or on camera, which I didn't, and now I'm filming this part over. But basically, once we get everything basically like this, let's have this panel like that. The thumb seems to have to be in an orientation like this, with the knuckle bent like that. Now as we start pushing it down, we can get it grooved under there a bit. I noticed that when you rotate the wrist, you can pull it out better. I wish I would have shown that on the transformation 2-hand mode, but if we rotate it, we can get it out. But once we get it under there, I'm gonna rotate it back straight again. Now we just need to bend all the knuckles, and then they need to be flat down in a position like this. And I got everything squeezed. That panel I had an issue with, you know what? It came down on that side, so I'm gonna push it down on this side as well. But everything's like this. This is as squished as you can get it. Now this guy, I'm going to loosen this out of there, loosen that up out of there, and I'm going to elongate this to get it up out of here. And this hinge, the double hinge system, has this deeper inside of there than I want. I'm gonna mess with that later, but we can close that open. These 2 panels right there, open these panels, and now we can lift up onto that. Now we have room to mess with this thing. I'm getting that up out the way. Now I'm going to unpeg the arms and get this fist and slot that back into there. If we can shut this, we're good to go. We're good to go. Thank you, God. But now we can lift this up. You see this little green peg? It grooves into a slot right there. Bring this up. Same thing on that side. Good. Since we're going back to robot mode, I am going to rotate this so that can be out the way. And I'm going to bring this back down and peg it in. And we can, once that's all the way pegged in, we can fold these panels up. All right, let's work on the legs and then I'll do the arms. But the legs can separate. This hinge right here, or this clip, we can unclip that on both sides. Unclip that. Then we can rotate the leg like this, bend the knee out, and get the knee in line with that clip so we can plug the clip in. And we can just basically stretch the leg all the way out at this point. But bend this, get the knee out, line this up, make sure that the clip is still visible. Come on. Line the knee up with the clip that in. Now we could straighten out the legs, to be honest. We can rotate this out. Then we can bend on this secondary hinge to get the hips where they need to be. This right here needs to be flush, but still bend on that secondary hinge to get that where that needs to be. This panel right here can just go down behind the leg. Same on this side. Get that up, bend on a secondary hinge, flatten this out. I set the legs up, but we do need to get things prepared to get this panel open. Bend that, rotate that forward, and now we should be able to get this panel out, and you'll have to use your fingers' strength to get that started. Bring this out, and then there is a little tiny thing right here you can press on to get the heel started. So we can grab at this heel. Once you do that, we can shut this panel, straighten that back out, and now we can straighten this out. Same thing over here. Bend that, get this panel open. Finger strength, get the toe out. Matt, I brought him up in my review. He had an issue where his toe was bumping into that panel. I don't know how that's possible, but it was functionally correct otherwise. But anyhow, if you get that problem, I suggest you contacting Fans Toys or the company you bought this thing from, so they can contact them and possibly get you a new leg. There are screws, so they should be able to get you a whole new leg if something happens like that. Shut that panel, straighten up this bottom knee joint, straighten up the legs. But as long as things stayed how they need to stay, we should be able to rotate this crotch forward, bring the legs down, and you're good to go right there. The arms. I'm going to rotate on this, bring that down, and get it into here. Then we can rotate the arm how that needs to be, or whatever. This panel can rotate like this, clip into that. Then we need to rotate that so that the elbow can be forward, and the hands, you can do whatever you want with that. Same deal. I'm gonna rotate this clip forward, bring this down so that can meet up inside of the clip that holds it together. Rotate this panel around so that can clip together. Rotate the bicep around. Take this panel, put it behind its head, do this. And back here, we could either leave it like this, or we can basically, this needs to be rotated. Have it up like that. But that's up for you to decide. And yeah, he is a robot again. And this didn't make me want to pull my hair out, but there are a lot more steps making this thing video longer than I wanted it to be. But anywho, thank you so much for watching. If it helped you in any type of way, don't leave without clicking like. Share, talk about me, say whatever you want to say in the comments. I like reading my comments, and I reply to the ones that I can reply to. Thank you for watching. Until next time, TMan978 out of here.
Click the videos. Click the freaking videos, baby. Click the videos. You should really click these videos. Click the videos. Click the freaking videos. Click the videos. Come on now and click those videos.